Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Self Talk, and this afternoon or this evening, whatever you want to call it, I have a wonderful, beautiful, beautiful guest. She is just doing the work of God, the work of people. She is there in her community helping. And you want to know what nonprofit mean? She is the icon for nonprofit. She's the icon for helping her community. And we're going to talk about the challenges that being a Black woman, an entrepreneur, doing community work with a nonprofit organization. And she's going to teach you a few things. And so here I'm introducing Mrs. Lachelle Davis Moore. Yay! Got the stage, Miss. Go ahead, Queen.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me here today or this evening or tonight, wherever you are.
Yeah.
I appreciate the opportunity to share with individuals how nonprofit processes go. Many people do think it's very seamless. It's not. You have to have your vision, you must have your mission, and you must follow all legal rules. So I'll start with how my journey began.
Yes.
God gave me this idea to service individuals living with HIV. Just that simple. My uncle, very dear to me, he contracted HIV during his time of IV drug use. And of course, in the early 80s and 90s, it looked different. We were not as educated as we could be. And so I knew that one day I would give back to our community by way of serving individuals living with HIV and educating them. So here we are, 2023, and we're still facing those same situations, those same concerns of individuals not being as educated. Yeah. So in 2013, for me, I found my name. I was given the name Inside Out Excellence. And I thought, wow, that's a great name, God. You know, we want to heal people from the inside out. We want to educate people from the inside out. So I said, okay, I'll go with it. I went to the Secretary of State and I registered the name, completed my articles, got the EIN number, and I didn't know what was next. So I got this notion, get a logo. I said, okay, let's get the logo. I drew out what I thought I wanted the logo to be. I was referred to a young lady in Atlanta, Georgia. Mm-hmm. And this young lady said, tell me your vision. And that's what I did. I told her my vision. She drew or designed exactly what I drew. And I said, this is the logo. So on a napkin, I drew an open heart, mm-hmm. which appeared to look like somebody was reaching inside. Mm-hmm. She designed an open heart with an individual, right? The little circle, yes. Individuals reaching on the inside. And I said, that's it. So, and this is 2013. Mm-hmm. Then I said, okay, my name is legal. We have an EIN number in case we have staff. We have a logo. Now what? Well, I need a board. Okay, who's the board? Okay, what do I got to do? Well, you need people who believe in the vision. You need people who believe in the mission. If those folks don't believe in your mission or your vision, they are not for your board. So that was just the start of what became Inside Out Excellence.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That's a lot. Mm-hmm. So tell me, how many members on the board do you have?
Currently, there's a total of 6 members on the board. And each state varies. To start a nonprofit, your state may say you need 3 board members. Some states require 5. I require that whoever they are, they believe in your mission.
Oh, wow. That's pretty good to get 6 people actually believe And I know a lot of people get bored, but a lot of times the board is not active. So was it challenging getting to 6 people? Because you said 2013 is now 2023. So that's 10 years.
Correct.
So for the 10 years, have it been the same board member? I mean, what challenges did you have maintaining the board and agreeing on how to move forward?
Great question. Great question. So, Inside Out Excellence was founded in 2013. We didn't launch until November of 2019. So,
Oh,
for 6 years, it was the planning stages.
oh, okay.
We were gathering and determining and finding out what our focus would be.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2015, I said, well, Lord, you know what? Give me a position that will prepare me for what you want me to do with Inside Out Excellence. That's exactly what he did. He placed me in the hospital where
Mm-hmm.
I was a program coordinator for an
Mm-hmm.
HIV program.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to understand trauma-informed care. I got to understand the barriers that individuals living with HIV encounter. I got to understand deeper depression, and mental health was just bigger than just being depressed or just having a stressed day. It was greater and bigger than that. And that prepped me for what I would do in November.
Yes.
So God said, your time is up here. I need you to resign. I gave them 30 days. And I heard him say, you playing, but if you don't resign, I will not grant you this grant you applied for.
Ah.
So I did resign October 25th of 2019. And I did find out in November that we were awarded our first grant to serve individuals living with HIV. So to answer your question, yes, 1, 2, 3 of those board members who I reached out to in 2013 became active board members in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And then I sought out 2 of them here in the last 3 years. And
Okay.
so they have been serving with me and believing in the vision and providing information for us to continuously expand.
Wow, that is a beautiful, but it also let people know you got to be patient, because here it is. When you said 2013, I'm thinking, oh, you're up and running. But no, there's more work to be done. And I think that's where a lot of people don't understand. When you have a plan and you have a dream, you have to do your homework.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't give up. You were passionate, you were committed to
Yeah.
that dream and to that process, and the understanding of that process, because I didn't realize it took that much to
Mm-hmm.
get. I don't have a nonprofit.
Right.
Thought about it, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of leery of it because it seemed like a lot, but not even in the sense of what you're talking about. I was just talking about surface work.
Right.
So I mean, so do you have an actual building, and how did you get a building if you have one?
Right. So Inside Out launched November of 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Mind you, COVID hit.
20.
It became alive in 2020. So
Yes.
we were home during our first year of running our nonprofit.
Oh, wow.
Our first grant, we were awarded $13,980.
Wow.
We spent all of that serving individuals living with HIV in that time frame. We met our goal, met our deadline. CARES funding came out. We got awarded CARES funding, which was to help individuals who were impacted by COVID.
Mm-hmm.
That grant was extended out, additional funding came out, the new grant rolled around, and here we are going from 13,980 to, I think it was like 60,000.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't focus on the number, I just focused on reaching the goals and serving the clients that we needed to serve. So we have an office.
Mm-hmm.
But because we worked from home for 2.5 years,
Yeah.
I'm torn between office and home.
Okay.
So our admin, she comes here
Mm-hmm.
and she will here meaning my home and we'll work here because a lot of things are here. And
Mm-hmm.
so transitioning back into the office is it's a tough thing, but we do want to have a single building where we can incorporate a pantry
Mm-hmm.
where individuals can come in and obtain deodorant and sanitary pads. And, we want to have clothing there if someone just needs something to wear. So
Mm-hmm.
we would like to go just from an office setting
Mm-hmm.
to a space where folks can come in and just relax for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
And if they need any resources, they're able to do that as well.
Okay, wow. But everything has been virtual. So do you think, in your situation, do you think you have reached more people because it's been virtual, or you think you'll actually or get more in person, or it doesn't make a difference, or it work both way?
Yeah, I don't think at this point it makes a difference. The pandemic really showed us that we can service clients the same via Zoom,
Mm-hmm.
in person. Yes, we love that, face to face and touch and feel
Mm-hmm.
environment because sometimes our clients are going through a lot, but we've absolutely learned that, wow, just being on Zoom made a difference too.
Mm-hmm.
So some of our clients could have been dealing with suicide ideation, right?
Yeah,
But being that we, get on this Zoom right now, let's talk right now, let's not wait. It makes a difference.
true.
So I think the pandemic did teach us that we can still reach the masses both ways as long as we're consistent with what we're doing.
Wow. So I'm just in awe listening to you. So one question I want to ask you. So in your journey of moving forward, you were in corporate America, because hospital I consider still corporate, even though they're all supposed to be a nonprofit.
Mhm.
You shifted from there to here. Now, for young ladies and people who wants to start a nonprofit, what insight would you tell them about this journey? Just the first part of it, just to start a part of it, because I know I hear a lot of people talking. Oh, we should start a nonprofit. Oh, we should start a nonprofit, and the grant. That's also I'm throwing a lot of things at you, but I'm so excited
Mhm.
of the information you're giving, and your story is really it really hits me.
Mhm.
So I'll pull back and I'll just start with the first question. For young women out there, young women who wants to help their community,
Yeah.
what would you tell them in just the first stage of what they should look at and think about?
So my recommendation would be to know what you want to do first and foremost. Why are you doing it? If you know your why, then you'll probably go far. If you're still pondering on your why, then continue to study and research exactly what nonprofits are. But once you know your why and you kind of know your how, because your how could be I am going to solicit donations and I only want private donations because I don't want to deal with the legality behind grants or any type of legislative rules. Know that. If you don't know your how, your why, your how, when do you want to launch? You have to be realistic because you have your articles that you're going to pay for. And in most states, they run you about $60.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have your 501c3 paperwork, and that can be done streamlined or it can be done hard copy. And back in the day, it was about 30 to 40 pages.
Oh, wow.
And if you did not already have a substantial amount of funding coming in, it made the paperwork easy. But if you had a substantial amount of money coming in and you had not yet registered as a nonprofit, then that paperwork was a little more difficult. But that runs you between $200 and $500, depending on where you are.
Oh, wow.
So I think what happens is we believe that nonprofits are not businesses because of the structure, but
Mm-hmm.
they are. Hospitals are not going anywhere. They pay out a ton of money in staff, ton of benefits, right?
Mhm.
But what makes them a nonprofit is because they're asking for money for research. And in order to get most money for research, you must be identified as a nonprofit. The services that I want to provide, I need to be identified as a nonprofit. So understanding, is what you want to do really a nonprofit?
Oh,
Because if you want to teach people how to braid hair and there's no nonprofit, there's no grants available, then you wouldn't have to identify yourself as a nonprofit. You're just a business and you're going to teach classes on how to braid hair.
mhm.
But what I want to do is service individuals who are behind in rent, behind in utilities, needing assistance to move into new homes to provide stable housing for themselves and their families. And I want to do this for the community. And there's a grant out there that says I can do it. So I'm going to register my nonprofit in order to do that work.
Okay.
So does what you are doing and what you plan to do, does that mean you need a nonprofit? You have to know that. A hairstylist is not going to register as a nonprofit.
Mhm.
Okay, they may do a DBA, doing business ads or something to, you know, you can't even do that though. You can't even do that. You're going to have your nonprofit and you're going to have your business. My businesses don't mix with my nonprofit. So
Okay.
that's the first thing. Know what you want to do. Find out if it's really going to be a nonprofit, because if it's not, then you're going to waste money.
Okay.
Grants, it's work. It's work. So if your nonprofit is about researching how global warming can be decreased, then you should do a nonprofit, because there's tons of money out there for that.
Mhm.
If your nonprofit is about pouring into women why it's important to have a doula, and you want to service people who can afford you and people who can't, then
Mhm.
you may do a nonprofit. Doesn't mean you can't charge. It
Mhm.
just means that if your business dissolves, you want to be able to have that program transferred to a similar one. Doesn't mean you can't make $1 billion. It doesn't mean any of that. And people get nonprofits confused with businesses or even a not-for-profit. Not-for-profit is a hobby.
Mhm.
Nonprofits is folks, companies, organizations that are asking for funding to fulfill their mission. And then a business is just what it is. And they're both challenging.
Oh, wow. You give a lot of information right there. And you mentioned article. What is this article thing?
So when you launch a business, you launch a LLC, you launch a S Corp,
Yeah.
that means you have to go to the Secretary of State and you have to file your business for it to be legal. So you're going to pay $125 or more to say that I want Survivor Empower Life Coach Financial to be an LLC, right? I want to make this is the way I make my money. I want to be legal. I want my clients to know that I'm legal. I'm with the BBB or what have you, right? Well, nonprofits are the same way. You still have to go to the Secretary of State and also register your business and obtain those articles that you need in order to go to the bank and open up your bank account. Your
Okay.
business needs an EIN number so you can, file your taxes and pay your employees. Your nonprofit needs an EIN number so you can pay your employees and file your taxes. All works the same.
Okay, wow. Wow. That was wonderful. So let's continue this journey. And I know we always have to ask, because you said you also have another business. So, I mean, how do you juggle? Because we didn't even get to the family yet, but how do you juggle a nonprofit and a profit? Because your other business is profit, right?
Right.
So, I mean, tell people, because, you know, Black women, we know we're strong, but let's not overwork ourselves. But at the
Right.
same time, if you can do both, why not? So share, please.
Absolutely. So, um, exactly. Black women, we can do it all. Deborah in the Bible, she did it all, so we can do it all. And guess what? We knew that without Deborah, the men couldn't do much of anything, right?
Yes.
So, so we women who are out here doing it well, put Deborah in your head because she did it, and understand that without women, they ain't going nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't nobody do anything without us. So the way I juggle my businesses and my nonprofit
Mm-hmm.
is I allocate certain days for my nonprofit.
Mm-hmm.
So because individuals who reach out to me through my nonprofit, they may need medication, they may be on the verge of being evicted,
Mm-hmm.
they could be out of food and just need a food referral.
Mm-hmm.
So between my admin and we will share those duties.
Mm-hmm.
And I always keep my email close. So if there's an emergency that can't wait until Tuesday, it's something that I go ahead and manage, because we know that when we're running our own business,
Yes.
work never stops.
No, it doesn't.
So folks may think I'm in the office about 52 hours a day, or they probably think I sleep there, because I am able to juggle. So yes, I do have two phones. One is for my nonprofit, and then one is for my regular business.
Mm-hmm.
The great thing about my nonprofit and the business my husband and I run is that they're similar.
Mm-hmm.
On our nonprofit side, we're running an organization that focuses on those living with HIV. On our business side, we focus on a business that assists individuals who have had some form of encounter with the justice system.
Okay.
Both demographics face barriers. Both demographics, a lot of them need a second chance. Both demographics are dealing with the possibility of homelessness. So it balances out, because I can talk to someone on my nonprofit side who may appear similar to someone on my business side. So
Okay.
the knowledge and expertise that we have is so transferable that it doesn't clash
Wow.
with
So,
each other.
that's wonderful. Because hear you talk, your spirit always been to serve your community,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what I'm seeing. That's your goal. That's you as a person.
Mm-hmm.
You're put. That's one of your. I guess that's what God see you. That's your purpose, to help
Right,
the community. Because whether it be profit or nonprofit, you're still doing the same work.
right, right.
The same work for a different group of people, but the outcome is the same.
Mm-hmm.
The issue that they face is the same.
Right,
It's just a matter of what umbrella is under.
right, right,
And
right.
is it basically the knowledge is the same, as you say, transferable. Now the business aspect of it, they're different.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you never get mixed up doing from one to the next?
Um, I have not gotten mixed up yet.
Don't
Yet.
want to put it out there. Put that
Right.
energy out there.
Not yet. Even with meetings, there was a landlord meeting yesterday,
Yeah.
and my admin was here doing inside out excellence work,
Yeah.
right? And
Mhm.
so she's asking me a question, and I'm listening to them to see when it's my turn to speak. So, and again, the great thing is that they are equal to each other, just different demographics.
Yeah.
So, but not yet, not yet. And when you're passionate about what you're doing, I think it helps,
Yes.
right? So, that's the beauty of walking in the excellence that God provided.
Yes. As far as resource and education, what do you for your journey? First of all, before we even got to that, what did you always wanted to do growing up? Did you see yourself in this place where you are today? Let's reflect back when you were younger,
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
younger you to now.
Yeah, I would say so. Being younger, in what we call our crew or our cliques back
Yeah.
then, I was always the one that wanted to be different from that. So I had my groups, right? I was a popular person in school, but I always saw the person no one talked to.
Mm-hmm.
So let me go and talk to you,
Oh.
because I didn't like that. And so I also became the mother of
Oh,
any group I was a part of, because I'm
nurturing.
like, I don't know if y'all should do that. Y'all probably shouldn't be. So I knew servitude. Well, I didn't know then, but I grew to understand that God was already instilling servitude in me. And
Mhm,
he already knew he would give me the discernment to see deeper
mhm,
than the average person. And I
mhm,
wondered why can't I see this stuff? Like, how did I know that? Why do I feel like he's cheating on her? And how
mhm,
come I was right?
mhm,
Not really understanding that. But I use it in both my businesses.
mhm,
I'm able to determine if someone really does need $2,000 for their rent.
mhm,
And I'm able to determine if this gentleman that's being released from prison is really ready.
mhm,
And that has allowed us to run successful businesses. So growing up, I thought that I would have a housing business.
mhm. Oh, okay.
I grew up thinking that, but this is why experiences provides us the journey to embark on, right? So
Yes.
with my dad, he is a very, very, very smart Black man.
Mhm,
And he did some dumb things
mhm,
in his younger years. When I was born, he was turning 18.
mhm,
So he was on his way to college at that time. He was one of the top basketball players in the city. He became one of the biggest dope dealers in the city. He was the ladies' man in the city, right? He
mhm.
was this marvelous, handsome guy that wore suits and Stacey Adams to high school.
Wow.
Well, he landed himself in jail. And I remember being a kid going to see him behind the glass. And I said, I never want to do this ever again. I
Mhm,
watched my dad get married in jail. And
mm,
I don't think he's ever spent over a year in there,
mhm,
but I never wanted to do that. And so
mhm,
when I had children, I
mhm.
never wanted my children to experience that unless they were doing some type of civil rights movement, something or another, right?
Yes.
And so my middle school was in the same neighborhood. It was this very nice neighborhood where my middle school was in Rochester, New York.
Yeah.
Well, in the heart of that neighborhood, there was a halfway house that just looked like it was a mansion.
Mhm.
And my dad was there. So I
Oh.
couldn't wait to get out of school because I would probably see him sitting on the porch.
Mhm,
And that is how I believe I fell in love with wanting to house people who needed a second chance. Now, did I realize they needed a second chance, or did I just realize that this house helped my dad? And
oh.
I want to do that. And so my uncle, who contracted HIV, is my dad's brother.
Mhm,
So I thank those men in my life for launching me into these businesses that I began to have a vision for. And so to my uncle has since passed, but my dad is now a deacon in church. He's giving back to the very individuals that he once was for a very short period of time. He didn't have like a 20-year run or a 15-year run with drugs and things like that, but it was a run,
mhm,
and so he's doing great things now, and just giving back, and he won't let anyone say that they can't do it. So I do believe God worked me and groomed me for exactly what I'm doing today, and I believe I accepted that call without really realizing it, because being in college, I majored in management, which develops people. I majored in HR, develops people. I obtained a master's degree in business management, still developing people. So yeah, that was my childhood journey, and I do believe that I have fulfilled the majority of it, because I ain't done, because I'm still here.
No, you're not. And I'm telling you, your community are blessed to have you because you understand as individual in both of your places, your business, profit and nonprofit, they have family.
Mhm.
And you can understand and you can see the need of these people to be back in community, to have a place there. how it's going to impact their children if they have children, just their future, how it impact the community as a whole by having a place for them to prep them to go back into society and be active members in society. Thank you. That's really appreciated. I'm not in your community, but regardless of where, it still makes a difference. It'll impact the world as a whole. So
Yep.
just really appreciate it. And thanks for that too. I think a lot of people need to stop and think about that. A lot of times we do go into place of service, and it usually do come from a place of experience. Something happened to you and you want to make a difference. You want to make that experience much more pleasant than what you had experienced during the process in this space, regardless of what end you were on, but your experience in that space wasn't what you wanted, or it could be better. And you made it your duty to make it better. And in that journey, you find other things that goes along with it. So after doing that, how many jobs did you go through before you actually realized you wanted a nonprofit? How many, once leaving college, because you're taking the right steps, but did you realize yet that you were going to do this? I mean, how long did it take? You don't have to give years because we're not trying to get you, but just give some idea. How did the journey go from college to now a business owner?
Yeah. So from college, I did get I landed a management job, and I stayed at that management job in Rochester, New York, for 3 years. And then they transferred me to North Carolina, where I now live.
Oh, wow. Nice.
So, and so when I came to North Carolina, I stayed at that job for another 3 years. I made a difference. I went to problem locations and, implemented my HR skills and got those locations together. And then I obtained my master's degree because I believe I was feeling that itch, like, this ain't it. So I obtained my master's degree in 2013, but right before I was getting ready to graduate, I felt the extreme push that I was just done at this job. It was just time. And again, God said, let it go. You're about to graduate. You said that you wanted to be home for 2 years. When your oldest went to high school, it's getting ready to happen. You've already planned for it. You stacked your money for it. Let it go. And so I did that in August of 2012. As he gave me the date, I left that job. So for that year, I went back to Inside Out Excellence and began to do the things that he was telling me to do. He had us kind of, play with the fact that it would strictly be for young teens between 13 and 18. So we kind of softly did some things with some teens as a pilot. But, from college, the nonprofit was still in my mind, because all of that I learned about taxes and getting vehicles and putting it in the business name and put it in the nonprofit name. I said, I'll never have anything in my name because I'm going to have these businesses. So it was all there. It was, when are you going to use the knowledge and how are you going to use the knowledge? So I knew the nonprofit would launch. I knew the housing program would launch, and I knew that I would drive a vehicle that had the business name on it, and it was going to be written off on my business taxes. I knew that. So the time frame from college to moving here to Charlotte was I moved here in 2008. So it probably was a good 6 years or so before I began planning for the nonprofit. But the thing is, the seed is always planted. Nothing really ever just pops up.
No, it doesn't.
If you really consider your journey, you'll see that somewhere over here, you talked about this very thing. So that seed was definitely planted during my college days. Even in college, I didn't go to a HBCU. I went to what we call a PWI, predominantly white institution. And I had some great, great friends who I learned a lot from. And it taught me the differences greatly between culture, because sometimes we think we know growing up, but we don't know. But the people that I was able to touch at school, just to show them that they can be themselves, it was all being planted right there, being able to deal with friends from Ukraine and Thailand and, just regular, right, Americans. All of that experience is exactly what I do today.
Okay.
The guys that come into our house, some of them are Laotian, some of them are Black, some of them are white. The folks I help on the HIV side, yes, Black folks suffer the most with HIV. Black folks suffer the most with being in prison. The reality is there's still some whites, some Chinese, even on the HIV side, some Latinos. So that whole college experience, I still attribute to exactly what I'm doing today.
Yes.
Right. So, I mean, going back to what you asked earlier, what should a young person wanting to do a nonprofit, how should you start? What should you do? Think about what's already been planted and consider the fact that it may be something you can get funding for, because perhaps you can. United Way, you want to help young girls, go to United Way. United Way has funding if you can put programs together for young girls, and that's the only reason you would really be a nonprofit, if you are seeking grant dollars to give back to your community. But mind you, in your nonprofit, you're going to pay all of your bills first. Payroll, building, electricity, phones, all of that. And then the rest will go to your community. But if you have grant funding, maybe 5% will go to administrative and the other 95 will go to the programs that you want to run. But nonprofits are not broke organizations, people. They're far from that. I don't think the Habitat for Humanity reflects a broke or a zero bottom line. No.
You're right. A lot of people do think, but I guess, you know why? Because a lot of people are looking at it from the staffing perspective, from being an employee at a nonprofit based on their salary. They're assumed a nonprofit. And this is very education, what you're saying, because a lot of people don't want to do nonprofit because they feel they don't pay. I'm not going to get paid. I'm not going to survive. And most people who do it, they're a labor of love. That started, and then they realized, I guess, after a labor of love, oh, I do get paid. But the initial, and I think it's based on people talking about the salary of the employees that work there. It's known that, I don't know how true it is, but that's what I hear, that, oh, we don't get paid a lot because we're a nonprofit. I work someplace and I don't get paid this, or I work at so-and-so organization, I don't get paid a lot. And so therefore that pretty much set the tone that if they're not getting paid, the organization is not getting paid, or the money is being misappropriated. I don't know.
Right. And again, that is definitely the story. But if you look up any of the CEOs of hospitals, the ones that are nonprofits, I don't think they just get a little bit of money, and I don't think their fringe benefits are, not beneficial. But positions that may just be administrative, or positions that may be I guess I could say, for lack of better words, is just on a lower class. Maybe you're getting paid the basic for that task. But if your job is, administrative generalist, and the market for an administrative generalist is, $18, and you're worth $18, then don't settle for the 14 that they're offering if it says 14 to 18. So, it just depends. And then if your agency is only requesting to apply for the same grant every year, it may just mean they need to seek another grant that pays for capacity. So it's just depending on who's behind what's being done.
Leadership. It goes back to leadership.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's where the interesting come, because as I listen to you, your talent, you're so well diverse in so many areas, and you have capitalized on your life experience between your going to a school that was well diverse, that you could network and interact, because those same diversity and interaction comes to play within your actual organization, just your day-to-day life, just
Yeah.
dealing with people, emotionally intelligent, just self-awareness. It opens up the doors for all those things to improve
Right.
and prepare you. So a lot of things I've heard, grant, 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 grant. Grant seem like it's the rock, it's the heart for survival, your
Mm-hmm.
nonprofit. Do you have a grant writer, or do you learn? I mean, what do you tell people? Because I think most people struggle in getting a grant or qualifying for a grant, or where do I start with this grant thing?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Now, this is a stellar question. When you are writing a grant, you must read it. There have been individuals who have written a grant and didn't read it,
Oh,
and they were not eligible to even apply.
oh, okay.
So if you don't read it, you're going to be in some trouble. The grant may say only for business owners. You're a nonprofit. Why did you apply?
Okay.
The grant may say you must have a 501c3. You're a business owner. Why did you apply? The grant could say you can be a business owner or a 501c3 or an S Corp, but you're a C Corp. Why did you apply?
Okay.
So the grant has specification and instructions at the very beginning. Read it. As you go through the grant, read every word and incorporate exactly what they're asking you. They're not asking you to tell them about what you did when you were 5. They're asking you to tell them how HIV has impacted your community. Tell them that.
Okay.
At the very end, it may say, do you have any additional information that may help your grant? Then you can tell them about when you were 5 and this and that and the third. So look at the grant thoroughly, answer the questions accordingly, and data is very imperative to anything that you write,
Okay.
because that means a lot to them.
Wow.
With that also, grants may have some stipulations. Things can delay your grant based on, if you're approved, it may be a reimbursement type of grant,
Oh.
which means hopefully you did some fundraising and you would use your fundraising dollars to run your program. You would be reimbursed, and you can continuously use your funding over and over and over again to help people.
Okay.
How do you differentiate being focused on grants? Sell some t-shirts, sell some cups with your logo on it, create a journal. If you're running a nonprofit, you need some things to help you sustain it. You're going to have fundraisers, you're going to have events, you're going to have a Giving Tuesday campaign. Maybe you'll have a mental health campaign. You have to find ways to incorporate new programs in your organization to ask for additional funding to grow your business.
Wow.
So your focus shouldn't just be grants. It should be grants, private donations, fundraising. We've done a popcorn fundraiser. We've done a text to give fundraiser. We've done an annual fundraiser. We've done a shoe fundraiser where we collected athletic shoes, sent them to the company, received 75 cents for every good pair, 20% for a recycled pair. You got to do the work if you're running a nonprofit, but you got to do the work if you're running a business. I don't have a grant writer. I did learn how to write grants, but now that I know, I do want a grant writer because I've mastered that pretty much, right? For what I needed to do. But it's good to have a grant writer who loves to do that, because then you know that they're going to touch on some things that maybe you didn't touch on the way they would, because this is what they do. But it would, like any business, you're going to have a start. And in the beginning, you may find yourself doing the majority of the tasks until you find the people who can do what you need them to do. You want quality people.
Yes,
You
definitely.
want quality people. So it all works the same way. It all
Wow.
works the same way.
wow, that's so much information. I'm open, as people go through this process, they get an understanding, because I'm telling you, a lot of young and both male and female African American want to do so much in their community. They have so much ideas, but they're
Mhm.
so lost. They're
Yeah.
so lost, and that they derail themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They have the idea, and sometimes the people within their space doesn't know how to guide them,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
don't have the time to guide them, or not able to give them, is not the model role model. And when I
Right.
say model role model, they're not in that space that they're trying to get into.
Right.
Not
Right.
that they're not good people, they're just not in that space where they're
Mm-hmm.
trying to get into. And
Right.
you're
Good.
given so much information that people who want to, it give them food for thought to think about it. And
Mm-hmm.
I think grant throw a lot of people off because it's very scary. That word is a scary word. Grant, requesting money. And one of the things I want to ask, because I think a lot of people also want to know this. Do you apply for a grant as soon as you start your organization? Don't you need the data? Don't you need to be doing something prior before you ask for money? Can you ask for money on a vision?
If it reads well, yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I'm saying, like, don't you need to say, I have been doing A, B, and C, and here's my proof?
Yeah.
Or can you
Yeah.
just say, I want to do A, B, and C, give me money?
Right. No, if you have most people who are trying to do a nonprofit, they have some form of a vision.
Mm-hmm.
And your experience is part of your vision. Your experience is part of your why.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about how you write it. There is data everywhere. You
Okay.
can use the data that is present, Google, wherever.
Oh,
People don't use encyclopedias like I used to, I guess.
no, they don't. No, they don't.
But you can use that data to validate why
Mm-hmm.
you want to do the nonprofit and why it's so imperative. Um, Fear can't be a part of your vision,
Okay.
right? You
Yeah.
have to conquer fear and believe in what you're doing. Because if you don't believe in your vision without ample personal data,
Mm-hmm.
then who will?
True.
So I did not have, I had work experience to solidify why we can do this.
Mm-hmm.
My paperwork was in order. When I went to the interview, once they selected me, when I went to the interview, shared my story. I had experience with my business,
Mm-hmm.
and the question they asked me is, how do you manage conflict of interest? Have your conflict of interest policies together. Know how you're not going to mix your business with your nonprofit. Have a clear discharge program for someone if they need to go over to your business side. That has happened.
Mm-hmm.
I had someone who was grossly homeless.
Mm-hmm.
I felt bad for this man, and I had no idea what was going to be next. Suicide. I didn't know. And
Mm-hmm.
so I just asked God, help me solve this.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, discharge him from your program and put him over to your business side. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. Exactly. So I discharged him from my nonprofit program.
Mm-hmm.
This is his last day in this program due to additional resources being provided, which is in direct conflict of
Mm-hmm.
his services. Discharged him. On our business side, he's been stably housed for 2 years.
Okay.
So you have to know your businesses, know what you need to do, know how you want to do it, know you got to read grants, know your why to it all. Know your why to it all. Understand you can make money.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes, that's very
And
important.
no matter what you do,
Mm-hmm.
um, you will succeed.
Yes,
If a nonprofit is really what you want to do, you will succeed in it.
yes,
Don't
yes.
even think of it as a nonprofit. Just think of it as this is your business.
True, true.
Nonprofit only defines it as being an organization that gives back to the community.
Mm-hmm.
businesses give back to the community as a way of showing diversity and showing that they're not just asking for your money, but they care about you, right?
Yes.
Nonprofits is mostly community driven.
Mm-hmm.
Any place that's doing research, they're looking for grants.
Okay, wow. Wow, you gave a lot of insight on your journey. It's been a wonderful just being a part of your journey. It's really educational. So now the next thing I'm going to ask you, you're a mom. How do you balance profit, nonprofit, babies, hubby, house? How do you do it, Superwoman? How do you do it?
Again, Deborah did it, so I gotta do it. She did it. We gotta do it. Being a mom is great. That's what I wanted to do. Another thing that I wanted to be a mom, right? So I have to fulfill all these roles into being a mom. So the balance is now that they're in school, right? Now that the two little ones are in school, because
Yeah.
my older one is getting ready to graduate next week, and then
Woo, congratulations.
thank you, thank you. And then we're a blended family, which consists of 3 additional young adults between 22 and 26. But at home, we just have a 17-year-old, a 7 and 5-year-old.
Okay.
So, it was gathering and making sure food was done earlier. Then that gets dropped down the drain at some point.
Yeah.
And then you're eating out for a little bit, and then you got to wash your clothes and, do homework. And instead of me focusing on what I got to do, I've learned to just do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that has helped me more than trying to focus. I have to drop this money off for their trip that's coming up on the 19th. I have to do this. I have to make sure I go to swimming because he wants to see me. And then I got to go on Tuesday. He wants to see me. I just write it down like everything else and try my best to stay committed to it. If I serve these individuals, then I have to serve my kids that much more.
Thank
And
you.
so that's my focus. You won't come before them,
Mm-hmm.
but you'll feel love like them.
Wow, I like that. I like that. I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that. That's something you got to put out there. I like that.
Yeah. Yep. So, and the same with my husband. The great thing about my husband is that we run our businesses together. So we have a cleaning business, we have our housing business, we have our insurance business. We run all those businesses together.
Oh my goodness. So wait a minute. So okay. So we're gonna pull back a little bit. You just list like 50 million things here now. So you got a cleaning business, and you also got an insurance business. So we didn't touch on those. So this is just showing entrepreneurship can be something that anyone can step their feet in and walk in. So you gotta share, woman. I'm interviewing you because people are gonna see this beautiful young queen is doing it, and she's touching in all aspect of entrepreneur, every aspect. All your businesses is touching different areas.
Right.
So
yeah.
no, they're still servicing. They're all servicing, but they still touching different areas. So look at spill the beans on the insurance, and spill the beans on the cleaning, Missy. You're not gonna escape.
Okay, so so we're serial entrepreneurs. So if that's what you want to do, you can do it. You're not gonna get rich from one job, y'all. It's just not gonna happen. You're not going to get rich just from doing one thing. There's no billionaire that you can point out who only has one job. They're either investing, they probably have hotels, they probably own 60 properties. Being a millionaire means you are going to have multiple businesses bringing you money either when you sleep and when you're awake. Okay, so our cleaning business, which is S&L Cleaning Solutions, that's actually a franchise. I don't recommend franchises. However, it works for us because we were just trying to bring in some residual income. If you're a person who needs a job and you're in the middle of it, then you're in the middle of searching, then a cleaning franchise may help you and catapult you to the next level. right? So we're using it for residual income. Our insurance business, my husband actually has his own insurance business, which is BG Grace Financial Group. That's something that I helped him with in the background, right? We sat at the end of the bed. We were coming up with names. He was ready to not be captive anymore. So for the last 14 years, he's been working as an insurance agent. And so that was one of our primary incomes. We still do that. It's kind of secondary now. I have my own insurance agency, which is CSS Insurance Group. And we do the same thing. So our customers can be cross serviced. There's some things my husband do that I don't do, and he's just better at it. So let him do it, because guess what? The money comes in the same place. And then we have Bridgehaven, which is our transitional housing program, which I already mentioned, where we're housing individuals that are formerly incarcerated, which goes into our nonprofit, which is Inside Out Excellence. And all these businesses are 4 years old and older.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Yeah. So thank you. So, most people who may have a nonprofit actually they have something else going on. So if you are a culinary person and you love to cook, you may have your catering business, but then you may want to teach young people how to cook. So you get your nonprofit and you go to the city and say, hey, I see you have a grant that is for teaching kids home economics, right? So you apply for the grant, and now you're teaching young kids how to cook and eat healthy. So, I know for a long time, and still today, people do have nonprofits very misconstrued because they just feel there's no profit. Yes, there is.
Well, you have clearly defined that here today with all your information and the various business you have. And believe me, you have opened the eyes to a lot of people. You have opened my eyes too, because I thought about nonprofit, but for me, I'm doing so many things right now. That's something I've thought about later down the road. I will venture in, but I've spoken to different people here and there, and they're all hesitant when it comes to it. And I think the thing that scare people is the grant part, getting money.
Yeah.
Access to money. I think that's what turns a lot of people off, because their lack of knowledge on how to move forward in securing those funds and securing them regularly to keep the business going. So what do you have to say about that aspect? To think about it, how do you maintain your business? Because infinity, the business not here to just run for 5 years. It's here to run forever, as long as there's a need. I see your business existing, and believe me, there's always going to be a need. So how do you plan moving forward? And do you see yourself getting a bigger staff to manage that for you and removing yourself from out of that?
Yeah. So as far as nonprofit, financial succession planning, some nonprofits are strictly private donors. They don't want to deal with anybody but private donors, because they don't want any portion of their program to be controlled by any legislative, right? That's perfectly fine. It's great to be able to do that. However, you could also incorporate a portion of your nonprofit to be private donors. So I can also help individuals who are not HIV positive, but I use that with my donated funds.
Okay.
Right. And then with those donated funds, you will apply for a different grant that allows you to help individuals who are not HIV positive, or individuals who just present with a housing issue. So therefore, you can get that funding reimbursed, because much of the grant money is being reimbursed versus given to you all at once. I believe someone made a mistake and spent the wrong money and then couldn't vouch for it. So now it's a reimbursed program versus here's a 30,000, we'll give you, 15 at the first quarter and, 15 at third quarter. But knowing how you want to fund whichever program you want to fund. So if our organization wants to put on a World AIDS Day program, then we can go seek funding. right? Let's go to Tito's. Let's go to Costco's. You know, Costco's give a financial, a monetary grant.
Oh,
So let's do that. It takes work, you know, and
Costco
that's where the grant.
grants.
Mhm.
Oh, wow.
Yep, and it's called a warehouse grant. So they may give you under 5,000 because of the way it has to be written off. Coca-Cola, they have grants for certain things. Just know that it has to pertain to what they're doing. So if their social activity is to help people try and improve recycling,
Mhm,
then I can't send them a grant for that. I can't write up a grant for that because I'm not trying to do that.
mhm.
So you have your donations, your private donors, your grants. How do you want to fund your nonprofit?
Okay.
You know, you can get a yearly commitment, and you may give for a yearly commitment of $200. You may give that person a cup, a shirt, a pen, and a notebook, right?
Mm,
Because you want them to commit to the $200 a month. And if they do that, this is what they're going to get.
okay.
On your business side, let's not be fooled and let's be clear.
Mhm.
Your business can flop before any nonprofit out here,
Oh, wow.
right?
Yes.
If
Yeah.
you don't have consumers, you don't have a business, right?
True. True.
If supplies go up and your consumer, your income isn't enough to pay for supplies, and your bottom line is reporting in red, you're gonna shut down, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't run any different.
Yeah.
It doesn't run any different. Without marketing, if you don't market on your nonprofit side, nobody knows you. If you don't market on your business side, nobody knows you.
Wow. True.
All
True.
transferable. You have a Square card, probably for your services. I
Mhm,
have a Square card machine for my nonprofit because I'm selling tickets, I'm selling t-shirts, and
mhm,
I'm taking that same money, and y'all are helping me help clients remain stably housed,
mhm.
you know. So no, you got to know where these streams of income are coming from. Who are you marketing first? Try to specialize in one thing at a time. I have one grant source. Why? Because I wanted to master their requirements.
Mhm.
Okay. So I'm running a program that helps with, like I said, stable housing, past due bills, um, past due rent. I'm
Mhm.
helping with that. That's one program. That's one funding source. But again, if I decide that I want to help my clients with getting to their medical appointments, well, then I'm going to ask for transportation dollars. So
Okay.
then when I give them a bus pass, or if I get them an Uber, I get reimbursed for it,
Okay.
and I get to help the next person. So know what you want to do, and maybe you can start one at a time,
Wow. A
and
lot
then
of
expand your program.
wow.
So I want to expand. I have an admin, I want a case manager, and I want to absolutely operate in straight director. But in order to do that, let me master all the requirements. I've gone through 4 monitoring visits. I
Mhm,
feel like I have them mastered. So now as I train my admin, I
mhm.
want them to feel like that's another Lachelle. She don't miss nothing. She don't miss a thing. And then when Jazz, hires someone else and she's training and I'm teaching, I want them to say they got 3 Lachelle's over there. They don't miss a thing, you know.
Oh my God.
And if I can do that, that nonprofit is going to last for a long time, and these monitoring visits will continue to be well. Because
Wow.
there's still stipulations. A monitoring visit, if you're making a whole lot of money in your business, you're going to do an audit, right? Make
Yes.
sure your money is correct. Make sure nobody's stealing your money. You're going to review your operation statement. Make sure your staff ain't calling long distance like they used to could do, right?
Yes.
Be like, why is this bill so high? Somebody is calling long distance from the pharmacy. You know, it's all the same. It's all the same, but lack of knowledge, and we perish. So for
Wow.
many years, if we don't get that information, we miss out on opportunity, or opportunity is just delayed, right?
Yes. Yes. Oh
Yeah.
my God. This interview has been so wonderful, and I respect you tremendously, but listening to your story and just hearing it again,
Mm-hmm.
I have so much respect for you and so much joy because, once again, it's going to go back to what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
what you're doing and why you're doing it. You can't, there's no words for that. What you bring to the community
Yeah.
and your vision, how it's going to benefit people years to come, because the things you're doing, unfortunately, but the way the world is and just the world,
Yeah.
those things are always going to exist. We have not figured a way how to stop homelessness,
Right.
stop HIV, stop various disease, incarceration. As we know, so many African American, especially, has been incarcerated wrongfully, and some of them deserve to be there, but some of them get too much time. And when they're there, they go in at such a young age.
Right.
Trying to integrate them back into community, it requires work. It requires someone who cares enough to put them in a place to make them whole somewhat, so they can understand the new things that have happened into society while they were locked away, to
Right.
put them back so they can be functional adults and provide for themselves and family. And that's a lot of work. It's a
Yeah.
lot of mental work, emotional work, and
Hmm.
you have to stay focused on the business. You can't let your emotion takes over,
Right.
and that's
Right.
a lot of work.
Yeah.
And multitasking, business, babies that you also got to raise
Right.
this world, woman, you're fantastic. You
Thank
are
you.
truly a
Thank
queen,
you.
because it's work. It's work in every aspect. And
Hmm.
you're taken away from your family doing this work, but it's work that's going to benefit your family, because you're making that environment for your family to be in safer.
Hmm. Hmm.
And you're also teaching your kids about community service too. How does
Right.
that work? Teaching your kids, seeing you, what do they think as mommy do these fundraiser and mommy go to these different events and these highlights and things that you do? What do your kids see and what do they say? What do the baby?
Oh man. It's actually amazing to see how much of a sponge we were as kids and they are now.
Hmm.
We were in Atlanta, Georgia.
Hmm.
Quick story, my Saxton is 7 years old and he goes to a school that's an HBCU. So
Hmm.
they learn a lot about Black history.
Hmm.
And he is inundated with Black history now. So he said he would like to attend or visit, who was it? Oh, Rosa Parks Museum.
Ah.
I thought it was closed.
Hmm.
It's not. And he wanted to go to Atlanta, Georgia to see Martin Luther King's house because he got to write about him.
Hmm.
So every spring break since last year, it
Hmm.
started, we go on a Black history tour for spring break. So this year we went back to Atlanta
Hmm.
to go inside of Martin Luther King house, which is all copyrighted. So you cannot take a picture in any spot on the inside.
Hmm.
But we got to take that tour, hear some stories. And once we came out of that location, we went down the street to see a sign and take a picture of the sign that we didn't see last year.
Hmm.
During that journey, a guy wanted to take the picture for us.
Hmm.
However, I could not give him my phone
Hmm.
because I have Zelle open, Venmo open, Cash App open.
Yeah.
And I knew he was homeless.
Hmm.
And sometimes I will go ahead and say, sure, come on, because
Hmm.
I do want my kids to see that. But at this particular time, my apps were open without my passcode.
Yeah.
So I said, no, thank you. We'll do a selfie. And
Hmm.
so we did the selfie, but we had a conversation with him after.
Hmm.
This young man looked like he may have been in the hospital a few days prior. So he had on hospital pants. They were kind of, tilted. You could tell he was homeless. But my kids stood there strong with my husband and I
Hmm.
as we talked to this gentleman and found out he wasn't originally from Atlanta. He didn't know who his mother was. She gave him up when he was smaller. Very intelligent man, the terminology he used, the articulation he possessed, but you can still tell there was mental health. But
Hmm.
we talked to him and we were going to get him some food.
Hmm.
And so my kids saw how parents may not be equipped enough to fulfill the role. And so to see them standing there, like our parents taught us that everybody is important and we're going to have this conversation, you know, didn't ask us a question, why is your pants like that? My
Mm,
kids didn't do any of that.
good.
Most kids would, right?
Mm-hmm.
So after that, they just wondered why. Well, why I wonder why his mom didn't want him, intelligent questions. There's a time where we go to their school, there's this homeless guy there, and the little one that's 5, he says, well, why his mom didn't want to give him no socks? And I said, do you want to get him some socks? Yeah, we should give him some money to get him some socks. So it wasn't my call to give him some socks, but clearly it was for my 5-year-old. So
Mm-hmm.
I gave him $5 and pulled up next to the guy, and my son handed him the $5. And that put a smile on that gentleman's face. No matter what he was going to do with the $5, my son felt like he should get some socks. So when they see us interact with those that most people probably wouldn't, I
Mm-hmm.
can tell that's going to teach them to be people who judge less
Yes.
and
Yeah.
find out what has happened. Because you can be looking at a billionaire, right? He was
Yes.
a billionaire, but he lost everything,
Mm-hmm. And
you
maybe
know.
you did it once, you had the ability, just need that kind hand to extend out to him to get him in that place where he can start over again. But oh my
Yeah.
God, that was a very touching story. And I think that's so important that you said that, because a lot of family, we often wonder our kids are so mean.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The name calling,
Mm-hmm.
racial issues.
Yeah.
And where does it come from? We all know where it comes from.
Yeah.
That tells you that you also can plant the seed of good.
Yes, for sure.
That's what that tells you. And your story is an example of the life you live, because kids mimic us more than they listen to us, than what you tell them to do. I mean, they eavesdrop in your conversation, not even eavesdrop, they
Yeah.
hear it and they absorb it, versus you say, do this, do that. It's more like mom and dad is doing this, mom and dad is conducting themselves this way. This is what mom and dad goals are. And they're not going to use those words. They have their
Right.
own way of expressing it, and they follow suit.
Right. Absolutely.
And you sharing that experience is just a reminder to people, be mindful of your space and how you communicate with your kids indirectly.
Oh yeah.
Indirectly.
It's important.
It's,
Important.
their
Mhm.
future leader, they're the future world. They're the one that you want to come up and either take over the business or create their own business
Mhm.
in some capacity to help the community, or whatever they want to do, whatever
Yeah.
it is they want to do. But you're teaching them as entrepreneur and how to help. So I see future entrepreneur, whatever it is they might want to do in the future, but they're going to be future business owner. And
Yeah. And what they have learned is that if you need something,
Mhm.
you have to do what it takes. So they've seen us get out of our suits and heels, right? And change into sweatpants and t-shirt and go clean some of the contracts we have. They've seen that. They've seen us in our suits and clothes and have to speak, right?
Mhm.
They've seen that. They've seen me manage their day to day as well as host a Zoom, because they
Mhm.
got to jump in. They got to jump into Zoom, right? So they've seen that, right? And the greatest part of it all is that they get to see their dad do that
Mhm.
with their mom. So in their vision,
Mhm.
they may feel, well, marriage is what's supposed to happen.
Mhm.
They don't see all of the work that comes with it.
Mhm.
But the point is, they see that they have a set of parents that will do whatever it takes to provide
Mhm.
for their family.
Mhm.
And we have no problem doing that, right? So
Yeah.
one of my clients I had to meet with the other day, I told her, hey, let's meet at Waffle House. She's a long-standing client. She
Mhm.
was incarcerated for about 15 years. She's living with HIV 37 years, and she's a senior. And I said, let's meet at Waffle House.
Mhm.
I never knew how she saw me. I
Mhm.
thought she saw me as just someone who was great to her, who was there for her. But I learned the other day that she saw me in a different regard
Mhm.
by asking me this, Miss Moore, I didn't know you eat at places like this.
Oh, wow.
And I said, well, places like what? She said, Waffle House. And she used to work at a Waffle House.
Oh my goodness.
So I said, well, I'm going to eat where I'm hungry. Okay. So if I'm hungry right here, this is where I'm going to eat at. But you never know how people look at you, even though you're helping them,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I was so honored to have told her to meet me there, because that may have uplifted her in such a way, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's going to allow her to uplift her daughters in such a way, because I don't care what my zip code is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what type of degrees I have. They didn't make me. I made those. I made them, right? You know, my degree isn't
Doesn't
me.
define you.
I'm the degree.
Yes,
You know what I mean? So without the degree,
you
I
still
should still be me,
yes.
you know. So that was it was an eye opener, because I'm glad that she has been riding with me all these, 4 or 5 years, right? But I'm glad that she understands that I will roll up to a McDonald's in a heartbeat and give me some.
I gotta eat. I gotta eat. And when I gotta eat, you're right there, I'm going there. But I'm glad though, that tells you that she had you up here so far removed from where she was. And now she realized that you can meet her where she's at.
Yep.
You can meet
Absolutely.
her where she at. And I think that will open her up
Mhm.
even more to you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's a good connection. That was a wonderful connection. Oh
Yeah. It
my
was great.
God.
And I'm like, excuse me, this is my favorite place. I love these waffles.
Oh my God, this has been a wonderful interview. Oh my God, I know you got to do work because you're the queen of business, but we want to wrap it up. I just want to say to everyone, as I continue to do these interview of Black women and their career and their journey, we have just gotten educated in so many different ways. It was an informational, informative. I don't even know what other words to possibly use, but your journey has been a high opener, has been educational, has just informed us of the different things that's going on in our society and where we need to do something about it. Incarcerated people coming back into society, people with HIV needing the assistance to maintain themselves and so they can continue to live and strive in our society. Two important things. And cleaning, we all need a clean place and
Right.
disinfect, especially
Right.
after COVID. Yeah. Insurance, that's always been a topic, a political topic as well. You have hit so many different important things. COVID cleaning is very crucial with different virus and God know what else is going to come out. Insurance, lack of cure, whether it be life insurance, medical insurance, those things are important things that our community seem to be lacking.
Yes.
And so you are providing so many things within your community that you are an asset.
Mhm.
And I don't live where you live, but you are doing service that will benefit me, I'm sure, in the future because the people that you serve, they venture out and they touch other people that venture out. And
Yeah.
so it's full circle. So thank you very much. Once again, this is Survivor Empower Life. Coach Financial. This is the YouTube channel. I'm doing this year. Each month, I will drop an interview with an entrepreneur or a person working in corporate, but it will be a young Black woman in Earth space doing Earth thing, achieving and moving. And this month, whoo. And so please tell us how they can reach you, your services. Um, just put it out there, all your businesses, whatever you want to share. So whoever you want to reach you, please go right ahead.
Yes, no problem. Thank you. So if you want to reach me, you can reach me at 980-245-1267. That is 980-245-1267. You can reach me about any of those businesses. If you need a job, cleaning here in North Carolina, if you know someone who's being released from prison and they need a place to stay. If you are seeking life insurance, you can contact me on the 980-245-1267. You can also reach me at info@cssinsuranceGroup.com. And last, if you need some assistance with someone that you know who is dealing with HIV and is behind in rent or utilities or looking for another place to stay or just need help getting back into medical care, you can also reach me at the same number, 980-245-1267, and then I can route you where you need to be.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Audience, thank you all again. Like and follow, share, hit me up. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, I'm everywhere. Once you hit my page, you'll see all my links to everything else. It's been a beautiful, beautiful, informative interview. And I would say thank you to everyone. Have a wonderful night.